The world of commerce, for all its spreadsheets and algorithms, is ultimately a story of uncertainty. Imagine you run a bustling shipping company, Ocean Spanners Logistics. Every day, your massive container ships traverse oceans, burning thousands of gallons of bunker fuel. The price of that fuel is like the tide, constantly rising and falling, sometimes gently, sometimes crashing. One month, it is cheap, making your profits soar. The next, it jumps, threatening to ground your ambitious expansion plans or even push you deep into the red. How do you plan for tomorrow, for next year, when your biggest operating cost is a wild card? This isn't just a hypothetical problem. It is a daily reality for countless businesses globally. Ocean Spanners need stability. They need to know, with reasonable certainty, what their fuel will cost 3 months from now, 6 months from now, when they are bidding on a new freight contract. They want to fix that price today, even though the fuel itself won't be delivered until much later. So they approach a large energy supplier, Global Oil Refining, and propose an agreement. They want to buy a specific quantity of fuel in 6 months at a price they negotiate today. Global Oil Refining, confident in its own supply chain and perhaps with a different view on future prices, agrees. They shake hands, metaphorically speaking, on a contract. This simple handshake, this agreement to buy or sell something in the future at a price set today, is the fundamental concept behind a derivative. Its value doesn't come from the fuel itself right now, but from the future value of that fuel. Its value is quite literally derived. This isn't a new idea. Farmers have been agreeing to sell their crops at a fixed price before harvest for centuries, protecting themselves from a sudden drop in market value. A baker might agree to buy flour from a miller at a set price for future delivery, ensuring they can plan their bread prices. These are informal, custom agreements. But what happens when we standardize them, make them tradable? That's where futures contracts come in. Let's shift our focus to Prairie Wheat Growers, a large agricultural cooperative. They are planting their spring wheat, but they have no idea what price they will get for it when it is harvested in the fall. A bumper crop across the country could flood the market, driving prices down. A drought could send them soaring. They cannot afford to gamble their entire year's income on the weather and the whims of the market. To manage this risk, Prairie Wheat Growers can sell a futures contract on a commodity exchange, like the Chicago Board of Trade. This contract obligates them to deliver a specific amount of wheat, of a specific quality, on a specific date in the future, at a price agreed upon today. On the other side of this trade might be a large food manufacturer, Baked Goods, Inc., who needs wheat for their products and wants to secure their costs. By buying a futures contract, Baked Goods, Inc. locks in a price, protecting themselves from future price increases. Both parties forego the potential benefit of a favorable price swing, but gain the invaluable benefit of price certainty. They've effectively traded the unpredictability of the market for stability, a powerful advantage in long-term planning. This obligation is key. Once you enter a futures contract, you are bound to it. But what if you want some flexibility? What if you want protection against a bad outcome, but also want to keep the door open for a really good outcome? That's where options contracts enter the picture. Think of an option like an insurance policy. You pay a small upfront fee, a premium, for the right, but not the obligation, to do something in the future. There are two main types of options. A call option gives you the right to buy an asset at a specific price, called the strike price, before a certain expiration date. Imagine you believe Tech Innovators Corp. Stock, currently trading at $100, is going to surge. You could buy the stock outright, but what if you are wrong? With a call option, you could buy the right to purchase Tech Innovators at $105 a share anytime in the next 3 months. If the stock explodes to $120, you exercise your option, buy at $105, and immediately sell at $120, making a profit. If the stock falls or stagnates, you simply let the option expire, worthless, losing only the premium you paid. It is a way to bet on an upside with limited downside risk. Then there is a put option. This gives you the right to sell an asset at a specific strike price before a certain expiration date. Let's say you already own a lot of Tech Innovators stock at $100 a share. You are happy with it, but you are worried about a potential market downturn. You could buy a put option that gives you the right to sell your shares at $95 anytime in the next 3 months. If the stock tanks to $80, you exercise your put option, sell your shares at $95, and protect yourself from a greater loss. If the stock continues to rise, you simply let the put option expire, again losing only the premium. You've essentially bought insurance for your stock portfolio. Options offer a powerful combination of leverage and risk management, but understanding their intricacies and the factors affecting their premium is vital. They are tools that demand careful consideration. Moving beyond simple price agreements, some derivatives allow companies to exchange entire payment streams. These are called swaps. Imagine Maple Leaf Manufacturing, a company in Canada, has a large loan from a bank. The loan has a variable interest rate, meaning their monthly payments fluctuate based on market conditions. This makes budgeting difficult. Across town, Northern Timber Co. also has a loan, but theirs is at a fixed interest rate. Northern Timber, however, believes interest rates are going to fall, and they would prefer to benefit from that potential decline. Maple Leaf Manufacturing and Northern Timber Co., perhaps facilitated by a bank, can enter into an interest rate swap. Maple Leaf agrees to pay Northern Timber a fixed interest payment, and in return, Northern Timber agrees to pay Maple Leaf a variable interest payment. No principal changes hands, only the interest obligations. Maple Leaf gets the certainty of a fixed rate, simplifying their budgeting. Northern Timber gets the potential benefit of falling rates, reducing their interest burden. Both companies have changed the nature of their debt without actually refinancing their original loans. Currency swaps also exist, allowing companies to exchange principal and interest payments in different currencies, helping to manage foreign exchange risk when doing international business. These are sophisticated tools, allowing companies to tailor their financial obligations to better suit their risk appetite and market outlook. So, why do these complex instruments exist? At their core, derivatives serve 3 main purposes. The first, and arguably most important, is hedging. This is the act of reducing risk, just like our airline fixing fuel prices or the farmer locking in wheat prices. It is about creating certainty in an uncertain world. The second purpose is speculation. This is when investors use derivatives to bet on the future direction of prices, hoping to profit from those movements. For example, buying a call option on a stock you believe will rise significantly. Speculation provides liquidity to markets, but it also carries inherent risk. The third purpose is arbitrage. This involves exploiting tiny, fleeting price differences between different markets or different forms of the same asset to make a risk-free profit. Arbitrageurs help to keep markets efficient, ensuring prices do not stray too far from their true value. Derivatives, therefore, are not inherently good or bad. They are powerful financial tools, like a sophisticated engine. In the hands of a skilled pilot, that engine can power an aircraft safely across continents, enabling global trade and travel. It can stabilize prices, mitigate catastrophic risks for businesses, and unlock new opportunities for growth. It allows businesses to focus on what they do best, rather than constantly worrying about price volatility. However, like any powerful engine, derivatives demand respect and understanding. In the hands of an inexperienced or reckless operator, that same engine can lead to disaster. Because derivatives amplify returns, they can also amplify losses. If a company hedges incorrectly, or if speculators take on too much risk, the consequences can be severe. Entire financial crises, like the one in 2008, showed us how interconnected and complex some derivatives had become, transforming what were meant to be risk-transferring instruments into vehicles for systemic risk, affecting not just individual companies but entire economies. Ultimately, derivatives are a testament to human ingenuity, a clever way to manage the inherent unpredictability of the future. They are the sophisticated plumbing of global finance, enabling stability and growth when handled skillfully, connecting disparate parts of the financial world. Their true nature lies not in their complexity, but in their simple origin, the human desire to manage an uncertain future. They are a constant reminder of both the brilliance and the potential pitfalls of financial ambition.